For 300 years, the galaxy believed the age of total war was over. Borders still shifted. Trade disputes still sparked skirmishes. Fleets still clashed in controlled engagements. But true annihilation, the kind that erased civilizations overnight, had vanished. Every species accepted treaties, limits, and battlefield law. They told themselves they had evolved beyond old savagery. Then the coalition arrived. No one knew where the coalition had formed. It emerged from dark sectors beyond map space, a union of hardened regimes built entirely for conquest. Their fleets ignored surrender signals, bypassed diplomacy, and consumed system after system with industrial precision. Defensive rings that had stood for centuries collapsed in days. Colony worlds burned. Refugee convoys clogged trade lanes. Panic spread faster than the invasion itself. Emergency councils met without sleep. Admirals proposed larger fleets. Scientists proposed new weapons. Politicians proposed negotiations. None of it mattered. Every response had already failed somewhere else. As the enemy advanced toward the core worlds, governments began opening archives long sealed by unanimous law. There, buried beneath military records and censored testimony, was the name no one used in strategy rooms anymore: Human Combat Authorization. Younger officials laughed when they first saw it. Humans were common everywhere: dockworkers, mechanics, surveyors, traders, teachers. They were smaller than many species, slower than others, physically unremarkable by galactic standards. Entire generations had known them only as practical, social, mildly stubborn civilians who preferred contracts over conflict. The older delegates did not laugh. They remembered stories passed quietly between command staffs. During the Ash Wars, when 3 empires had pushed the galaxy to collapse, one final measure was approved. A single human platoon was inserted behind enemy lines. 42 soldiers. No reinforcements. No support fleet. No public record. By dawn, 3 imperial capitals had gone silent. Shipyards detonated from internal overloads. Defense codes were reversed. Generals disappeared from secured bunkers. Armies received perfect counterfeit orders and marched into crossfire. Fuel reserves ignited. Communications became streams of lies no one could untangle. Entire fronts surrendered to enemies that were no longer there. Where resistance remained, humans finished it at close range with a speed and determination witnesses struggled to describe. The war ended in one night. When investigators tried to reconstruct what happened, they found something worse than massacre. They found efficiency. Minimal waste in motion. Precise pressure applied to every weak point in military, political, and psychological systems. Humanity had not merely defeated armies. It had demonstrated that war itself could be solved like an equation. The surviving powers signed the ban within a week. Officially, the decree stated that humans, due to disproportionate strategic impact, would be permanently excluded from organized interstellar warfare. No state could conscript them. No fleet could commission them. No mercenary charter could employ them in combat roles. It was presented as a peace measure. Privately, everyone knew the truth. The galaxy had not banned humans to protect humans. It had banned humans to protect everyone else. Now those same signatures trembled on emergency tablets as coalition fleets entered the Tarsus corridor, last shield before the core. Defense estimates gave 30 days until collapse. Some said less. The chamber split immediately. Half the council called the archive irrelevant superstition. The other half argued that superstition was preferable to extinction. Human representatives, long symbolic members with no military authority, said nothing. Their silence unsettled the room more than shouting would have. Then an elder admiral, scales faded with age and scars, requested final speaking rights. He had served logistics during the Ash Wars. His voice shook only once. "I saw what 42 humans did," he said. "If 12 still remain, the coalition should pray we fail to wake them." The chamber fell still. Because everyone knew what Vault Black was. A cryogenic installation beneath a dead moon. Built after the ban. Staffed by automated systems. containing the last preserved human combat unit ever assembled, kept frozen not for use, but because no government had agreed how to destroy them safely. Authorization required unanimous consent. For the first time in centuries, it was granted. Across secure channels, ancient codes transmitted. Reactors beneath the moon stirred. Locks disengaged one by one. Systems designed never to run again came alive in the dark. Above the council chamber, warning screens flashed fresh losses from the front. Below a lifeless surface of stone and ice, 12 humans began to wake. Deep beneath the dead moon, power returned in stages. First came the hum of buried reactors, then the pulse of dormant networks reconnecting after centuries of silence. Frost melted from steel walls. Medical drones rose from charging nests. Corridor lights flickered to life one row at a time, revealing a facility built with no decoration, only function. Vault Black had been designed for one purpose: contain what history feared to erase. Alien officials watched through armored glass as 12 cryogenic chambers unlocked in sequence. Many expected monsters, towering brutes, unstable predators, relics from some barbaric age. Instead, ordinary figures stepped forward through vapor and thawing mist. There were men and women. Some broad-shouldered, some lean. One limped slightly. Another carried scars across both hands. Hair lengths varied. Ages seemed mixed, though none appeared elderly. Nothing about them matched the legends except their eyes. Calm. Focused. Measuring everything the moment they entered it. No one spoke until the tallest among the observers activated translation. A woman with a damaged left eye looked up first. Current year. The answer was given. Status of Earth. The council liaison hesitated. Stable. Integrated member world. Civilian. She nodded once. Enemy designation. Data screens filled with coalition insignias, fleet routes, casualty reports, occupied systems, and projected collapse timelines. The humans read in silence. Some moved only their eyes. One requested a tablet and absorbed 3 centuries of military history with mechanical patience. Another asked for updated language matrices. A third reviewed medical changes in known species, likely studying anatomy for vulnerabilities no one wanted to imagine. There was no confusion about waking in a future they did not know. No emotional reunion with a lost era. They treated time itself as irrelevant compared to mission context. The damaged eye woman was identified by archive records as Commander Mara Voss, final ranking officer of Unit Black 12. She faced the delegation. Why was the ban lifted? No one answered immediately. Diplomatic phrasing had been prepared, but under her stare it sounded childish. Finally, the liaison spoke plainly. We are losing. Voss accepted that with no visible reaction. The council then presented emergency wartime protocols. Human operations would remain supervised, collateral thresholds would apply, command authority stayed with the council, and all missions required approval. Several observers expected argument. Instead, Voss signed every condition without reading twice. That frightened them more than refusal. She asked only one question in return. Primary target offering highest strategic reversal? Analysts displayed Fortress World Keltar. Industrial Hub. Coalition Command Nexus. Planetary shields impervious to bombardment. 20 million troops. Underground reserves for a 10-year siege. Probability of capture by conventional forces, 0. Voss studied the rotating image for 8 seconds. We'll take it. A nervous strategist corrected her. You misunderstand. We can assign support divisions after staging. No divisions, she said. Another human spoke for the first time. Need transport only. Requests followed rapidly. Weather archives. Subterranean utility maps. Waste processing schematics. Local architecture databases. Enemy rank customs. Supply manifests. Children's entertainment broadcasts. The council stared at the final item. A human shrugged. Patterns hide everywhere. They asked for no tanks, no artillery, no escort fleet, no metals, no speeches. 48 hours of preparation and insertion clearance beneath Keltar's northern continent. Permission was granted because no one knew what else to do. As transports launched, Coalition Command on Keltar celebrated incoming reinforcements and broadcast victory parades to occupied systems. Their shield grid shone untouched. Orbital batteries tracked every known threat lane. Streets remained orderly beneath armed patrols. 2 kilometers below those streets, inside abandoned drainage arteries no scanner considered relevant, 12 humans entered the planet and vanished into its veins. By the time security noticed missing maintenance doors, the war for Keltar had already begun. Keltar did not fall to invasion. It fell to confusion. The first outage struck at 2:13 local cycle when 3 industrial districts lost power simultaneously. Coalition engineers rerouted grids within minutes, but the backup network overloaded before activation. Repair teams entered service tunnels and never reported back. Surveillance later showed no attackers, only lights failing one corridor at a time. At 2:41, central ammunition depots detonated in separate hemispheres with identical timing. Shockwaves damaged entire batteries and buried reserve armor beneath collapsed hangars. Investigators blamed sabotage cells until they discovered access logs signed by their own quartermasters. At 3:05, command channels received emergency directives from High Marshal Terex ordering 2 northern armies to redeploy south. 11 minutes later, fresh orders reversed the move. Then came a third command demanding immediate arrests for treason among officers who questioned the first 2. Entire battalions began detaining one another while transport lanes gridlocked. The humans had not attacked the army. They had attacked certainty. Smoke flooded residential sectors next. Harmless, thin, chemically irritating. Civilians panicked, believing it toxic. Medical centers overflowed. Troops abandoned checkpoints to protect families. Curfews shattered. Rumors spread faster than verified orders, each rumor somehow more believable than the truth. Then Food Reserve inspectors reported contamination in emergency stockpiles. Not poison, fatigue agents calibrated to induce weakness, nausea, and poor concentration. Millions of rations became useless overnight. Soldiers who had eaten early meals struggled to stand steady at weapons posts. By dawn's first light, Keltar still possessed millions of troops, thousands of vehicles, orbital shields, and numerical superiority. It no longer possessed cohesion. Only then did the humans begin visible strikes. A communications tower went dark for 20 seconds. When power returned, every technician inside was unconscious and the relay core missing. A shield control annex reported intruders. Response teams arrived to find doors sealed from within and systems already reformatted. Senior commanders fleeing to hardened bunkers discovered their biometric access revoked moments before precision explosives removed the entrances entirely. Each attack lasted seconds. Each withdrawal route had been prepared hours earlier. Pursuit units found empty rooms, false trails, and corridors rigged to collapse behind them. Council observers watched live battlefield feeds in silence. They had expected brutality, perhaps heroic violence. What they witnessed was something colder, war reduced to pressure points and timing. Commander Voss transmitted only once. Enemy resistance remained structurally intact for 9 more minutes. Exactly 9 minutes later, Keltar's planetary shield shut down. Coalition fleets in orbit attempted emergency escape. Navigation arrays, compromised long before the surface crisis, fed conflicting vectors into launch traffic. Destroyers collided in docking lanes. Carriers rammed escorts trying to clear firing arcs. Some ships powered down entirely and broadcast surrender before a shot was fired. Others received a single narrowband message. "We are still 12. Panic finished what sabotage began. Crews abandoned stations. Captains mutinied against admirals demanding counterattack. Several vessels fired blindly at imagined borders. When Allied relief fleets entered orbit, they found the fortress world intact, its armies disarmed, and most infrastructure usable. Casualty estimates were lower than any conventional siege by orders of magnitude. Keltar had been conquered in one night. The council chamber that had argued to wake the humans now sat speechless before victory reports. Younger leaders asked how 12 soldiers could erase a world's capacity to fight so completely. An elder delegate answered with visible dread. Because they never fight armies, he said. They fight the systems that let armies exist. Commander Mara Voss then opened a secure channel, expression unchanged. Keltar secured, she said. Send next target. Victory spread faster than fear. Across liberated systems, citizens poured into streets, ports, and station decks celebrating the impossible reversal. Markets reopened. Refugee convoys changed course toward home. Recruitment lines formed outside defense offices that had stood empty for months. News networks called it the turning night, the moment the coalition learned the galaxy could still strike back. Coalition fleets withdrew from outer sectors almost immediately. Garrisons abandoned weaker worlds rather than risk isolation. Commanders who had advanced without hesitation now delayed every movement, checking shadows, rechecking codes, distrusting their own officers. 12 humans had done more than seize Keltar. They had infected an empire with doubt. Yet inside the Central War Council, no one celebrated. Analysts compared Keltar's fall to every known campaign model and found no precedent. The humans had followed orders exactly: retake the fortress world quickly, preserve useful infrastructure, minimize Allied losses. They had done all three with terrifying precision. Nothing in their report suggested cruelty, rage, or revenge. That was what disturbed the Council most. They had done it professionally. Commander Mara Voss arrived for debriefing without escort. Dust from Keltar still marked her boots. She listened as officials praised the victory, thanked humanity, and proposed medals, command titles, and public ceremonies. She declined each offer before they finished speaking. One minister finally asked the question everyone feared. What are humans in war? Voss answered without pride. A species shaped on a hostile world. We learned endurance because comfort was rare. We learned deception because stronger predators existed. We learned cooperation because isolation meant death. We learned escalation because hesitation got us buried. She looked around the chamber. Peace did not make us harmless. It made us disciplined. Records once hidden were opened after that meeting. Younger generations learned humanity had accepted the ban voluntarily centuries earlier. They understood exactly what endless competition could become if human methods spread unchecked. The galaxy had mistaken restraint for weakness. Another counselor, voice shaking, asked whether Unit Black 12 would return to cryostasis once the coalition was defeated. Voss almost smiled. You can freeze soldiers, she said. You cannot freeze ideas. Her warning proved immediate. Across civilian human colonies, enlistments surged beyond all projections. Retired engineers converted factories for wartime output. Veterans who had never publicly admitted service began training militias. Old tactical doctrines moved through encrypted military networks faster than sensors could contain them. Other species requested human advisors despite their government's objections. The ban was dead, and everyone knew it. Then long-range sensors detected the coalition's answer. Every surviving enemy fleet had united beyond the Perseus reach. Carriers, dreadnoughts, siege platforms, reserve armies, everything they had left was moving as one final armada toward the core. If they could not outfight humanity piecemeal, they would attempt to drown the galaxy en masse. The chamber erupted into overlapping demands. Mobilization orders. Evacuation plans. Emergency taxation. Planetary shield priorities. Voss ignored the panic and studied the projected enemy routes. They learned, she said quietly. Good. She turned for the exit as aides rushed behind her. At the doorway, she stopped once. You banned us to save yourselves from what war becomes. No one spoke. Then she delivered the truth they would remember longer than any victory. You waited too long. Hours later, fleets launched from every Allied dockyard. Human volunteers boarded beside species that had once outlawed them. Factories thundered. Sirens wailed. Across the stars, an old race returned to the profession it had tried to bury. And this time, The whole galaxy would learn why it had been banned.